After a terrible 2024 season for Georgia's wide receivers, Kirby Smart and James Coley knew that they had to address one of the biggest problems on the team from last year. They knew they had to go into the transfer portal and upgrade in a big way, and that's exactly what they did. They swung for the fences and they hit 2 home runs, adding Zachariah Branch and Noah Thomas out of the transfer portal. 2 guys that I think should have an immediate impact on Georgia's season in 2025. The wide receivers were dropping passes left and right last year, and they knew, hey, if we want to get better, if we want to possibly play for a national championship, we need to bring in game changers. That's exactly what they did, and it wouldn't surprise me at all if both of those players end up going down as 2 of Kirby Smart's biggest wins out of the transfer portal. That's what I'm going to talk about in today's video, because they've added a lot of good ones over the years. Now, this is a program that doesn't live and die with the transfer portal. It's not a revolving door, really. It can be at wide receiver, but for the most part, as you know, this program is built through the high school level. They recruit, they develop those players, they turn those players into impact players, leaders, and then send them off to the NFL. But occasionally, to address problems and needs, they will go into the transfer portal. And over the years, they brought in some pretty good ones. So we're going to talk about all of that in today's video. Who is Kirby Smart's biggest win out of the transfer portal? So we're going to talk about Zachariah Branch and Noah Thomas in a little bit, but right now they haven't done anything yet. They've just got with the team. But I do think they'll have a big 2025 season. But one guy that definitely comes to mind as a guy that they went in, got, and had a really nice Georgia career is Tykee Smith. They brought him in from, I believe, West Virginia a few years ago. And in 2023, he was a second-team All-American selection by CBS. He had the team lead in tackles, which I didn't know until I looked it up, at 70, 8.5 tackles for loss, and 4 interceptions. So that's a guy in the secondary they went out, they got, and it took him a couple years to really make an impact. But in that 2023 season, he absolutely did. And he was a really solid, productive player who I believe had a really nice rookie year for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. So that's one guy that came in and did more than just add depth. He came in and really made some plays, but it didn't, happen until 2 or 3 years into his Bulldog career. He added depth at first, but then turned into a really nice player. 2-time national champion, 101 career tackles, 4 sacks, 4 interceptions. That was a big-time win. Now, I say win in the fact that the guy came in and made an impact, right? Not a win as it relates to Georgia had to beat out this other team. Maybe they did, but from a production standpoint, Tykee Smith is definitely one of the guys that they went out and, they won. Trevor Etienne has to be another one, right? The Texas killer, right? He had over 180 rushing yards against Texas last year, 5 touchdowns in those 2 games. He was the coach's 3rd team All-American selection and got him from Florida, right? He was a good player for the Gators, but he wanted to win. So he went to Georgia and helped them win an SEC championship. And I'm not sure they win an SEC championship this year without Trevor Etienne. So I think if we're making a list of biggest impact transfers coming in, Trevor Etienne has to be on that list. So I know a lot of people are kind of a little upset that he left, went to the NFL draft. He's just doing what's best for him. Georgia needs to, add maybe another running back or 2 if they can. If someone is in the portal in the spring that can help them out, they probably need to address that. They'd love another impact running back to help Nate Frazier and kind of an injury-plagued running back room, right? We'll see if Roderick Robinson comes back to full form. That would be huge. We'll see if some of the freshmen from last year, other than Nate Frazier, can step up. But Trevor Etienne was solid last year. And after that Texas game in Austin, if you were talking about the best player on Georgia's roster, at least on offense, it was Trevor Etienne. So definitely have to put him on this list. What about Derion Kendrick? Remember him? He was the 5-star who signed with Clemson, who played well for the Tigers, but transferred to Georgia for that 2021 season and started for them at cornerback and made a lot of plays and helped, lead them to a 2021 national championship. He wasn't one of the best players on the defense because it was absolutely loaded, as many of them are going to be playing in the Super Bowl this weekend. But Derion Kendrick definitely made an impact. He was a 2nd-team All-SEC selection, 41 tackles, 4 interceptions, 2 of them against Michigan in that Orange Bowl. Definitely a guy where they went into into the portal. They got him, and he came in and made a massive, massive impact. I still think he's playing pretty well, I believe, for the Rams in the NFL, but Derion Kendrick was a more than solid pickup from the transfer portal. What about Lovett, right? A couple years ago, they went into the portal, got him from Missouri. He came to Georgia to win and helped lead them to an SEC championship this year. It wasn't strictly because of him, but he did make some plays here and there over his first 2 years. He was a little better in 23 than he was last year. Just the dependability kind of fell off for him. He had some issues catching the football, but overall, 113 catches in 2 years, 1,220 yards and 10 touchdowns. So he was productive. They went and got him to be a productive, dependable pass catcher. And for a lot of his career in Athens, he was that. He had 2 big catches against Georgia Tech in 2024, that 8 overtime victory. So he did flash big playability and, really helped this team from time to time. Wasn't always consistent, but, when they needed him, he definitely came through here and there. So again, if you catch 113 passes, you made an impact. And he didn't sign with Georgia out of high school. They went and got him, and he, gave them some productivity that they needed over the last 2 years. Digging back a little further than that, remember Lawrence Cager, a guy they got from Miami out of the portal for that 2019 season. He was one of their better, more dependable pass catchers on that 2019 roster, along with freshman George Pickens. But, he was solid, 33 catches in 2019, helping out Jake Fromm, 476 yards, 4 touchdowns. He had a big-time touchdown against Notre Dame in that incredibly wild, electric game in 2019. I thought he really, helped that team in 19 and did make some big-time plays. He had another massive, long touchdown catch against the Gators. So Lawrence Cager definitely had his moments and really helped the team, and he was an impact transfer, no doubt about it. Then JT Daniels. I think it's fair to put JT Daniels on this list. They got him for a reason, thought he'd be the starter. Obviously, he was a little banged up during the 2020 season. Stetson Bennett had to take over for DeJuan Mathis. It was his team for a while, but JT Daniels started those final 4 games and was really good. 1,231 yards, 10 touchdowns. He did his part. He did what he needed to do at the end of that 2020 season. Started the 2021 season as the starter. He started in 3 games, played in 6, but was eventually, beaten out for the job by Stetson Bennett. And you all know the story there. That was the right decision that the coaches made to, give that starting nod to Stetson, who had earned it over JT Daniels, who was a little banged up, in that 2021 season early on. I mean, he had I believe it was a rib injury that, you could see, when they played Clemson, the offense just was anemic. He couldn't do much of anything. Then, Stetson took over, and then I think they played JT Daniels a couple more times when he was a little healthier. I think his last start came against Vanderbilt. Stetson Bennett came in that second half, and then it was Stetson's, time the rest of the way. It was the Stetson Bennett era for sure at that point. But listen, South Carolina fans tell me all the time, they still wake up in the middle of the night in a hot sweat because of what JT Daniels did to them. He was 2-0 against Carolina. They were as thrilled as anyone when he lost the job to Stetson Bennett. I mean, the guy killed South Carolina. He had a massive game against Missouri. So, he is a guy that made somewhat of an impact. I don't think it went, his way completely. Obviously, the plan for him to be a full-year starter in 2021 obviously didn't work out. But, he won some games at quarterback. And at the end of 2020, he was pretty good and gave Georgia some life at the end of that season there. So if we're talking about biggest impact, I think the quarterback that they brought in helped win them some games and kind of was a stopgap quarterback a little bit in 2021 until losing the job. Yeah, I'll put him on this list. Trey McKitty at tight end is another one. But Zachariah Branch, Noah Thomas, I have high expectations for both of them. I think if you're Gunnar Stockton, you have to be thrilled with those two coming in. Zachariah Branch brings elite, breakaway, game-changing speed, athleticism, burst. Dude is electric and could be one of the best receivers in the SEC. And then Noah Thomas, 6'6", 200 pounds, killed Auburn last year with 2 touchdowns. He caught 39 passes for Texas A&M for 574 yards and 8 touchdowns. He's productive. He's played at a high level. He's played well in the SEC, and I expect him to have a really nice season. Now, if they can stay healthy and out of trouble, something Ra Thomas and Colby Young couldn't do, although, Colby Young is kind of getting that situation addressed. If they can stay healthy and out of trouble, I expect both of them to have really, really big, impactful seasons for the Dogs in 2025. Now, I feel like I'm missing someone. Y'all let me know if I'm missing a big-time transfer addition. It's not Eric Gilbert, right? I probably shouldn't have even said that. Listen, let me know in the comment section if I forgot someone, because it's possible. I just started these notes, maybe 20 minutes ago to get ready for this video. But if I'm missing someone, let me know. Do you have a list of your own top, most important, most productive transfers that Kirby Smart got out of the portal? You let me know. But I think Zachariah Branch and Noah Thomas could be two of the biggest that we've seen, at least so far, in the Kirby Smart era. Thanks for watching. Let me know what you think in the comment section below, and I'll see you over on Dawg Post.